In some cases, you have to actually prepare the readers with exact numbers, and in that case, you have to use decimal points and decimal values. Let's look at the exact actually definition of decimal values and the examples in a table. You have to express numerical values to the number of decimal places that the precision of measurement justifies. For example, we have to provide the readers with 2 decimal places if we are gonna actually talk about, for example, probability, or we have to actually provide the readers with 3 decimal places specifically when we are going to talk about probability. But if you're going to talk about the average age of this participants, for example, you can write 2 decimal places or 1. For example, you can say that the minimum age of, the mean age of participants in the experimental group was 26.1 or 0.12, 2 decimal places. And you can compare it with the control group. If it is critical, then if it is very important to tell the readers with actually the exact number, the more exact number, then you have to use more decimal places, 3 decimal places, for example. But if it is not that important, you can write 1, or even you cannot, you can actually disregard it. And if possible, carry all comparable values to the same number of decimal places. As you know, as I discussed earlier, if you are going to tell the readers that the mean age of the experimental group is 26.12, you have to tell the exact number with regard to the control group, 25.07, for example. 2 decimal points here, two decimal places here and 2 decimal places here. If this is 1.5, this should be 0, for example, 0.07. 2 decimal places, 2 decimal places. And you have to be careful with that. And here we discussed it earlier. And you have to put the period, the decimal point under one another. Let's look at the table and I will tell you what I mean. Here, if you look here carefully, here you see that it is written as 45.3. This means that it is not that important, okay? If it is that important, it is very important, we have to write 2 decimal places. If it is very critical, we have to write 3 decimal places. For example, 45.33 or 45.347, for example. Okay, the more critical the number, the differences, the more the number of decimal places. And if we prepare the readers with 1 decimal place here, 3 only, we have to prepare the readers here with only 7.7, here with 0.3. Okay, we talked about it, and it is actually states that you have to put the decimal point here under one another, point here, and justify the numbers with regard to point. Okay, points under one another, and you should write the numbers from some of them in the left and some of them in the right as the exact number is, and the decimal point should be exactly under one another. If you put if you draw a line, a direct line from top to the bottom, all decimal points should be one under the other one, and it can be written something like centralized or flush left or flush right, so that you can write it one under the other. Okay, this is the story. For example, if you actually flush right them, because we have one flush right like this. If we have only, since we have only 1 decimal place here, 1 1 1 1 1, as you see, all the periods or all the decimal points will actually put one under the other one, will be under one another. Okay, that's the story.